X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach. Hey Adam, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween! I hope you're having a spooky one. Ready to talk about some spooky X-Men stories?
I am ready to talk about some spooky X-Men stories. I feel like the stories that we're going to talk about are sufficiently spooky.
Yes.
And we can have our spooks sufficiently spooked.
Yeah, I always love that distinction between scary and spooky, right? You know, like...
This is an interesting question to me, because I don't think you are, but are you a horror guy? Like, are you a scary horror guy?
I have gotten much more into horror over the course of the last couple years. I used to be very anti-horror and not really understanding the genre. And now I'm at a point where I'm actually trying to catch up on franchises that I completely missed out on, like Nightmare on Elm Street or Poltergeist. I actually just watched Hellraiser the other night. So I feel like I'm becoming or have become like a horror guy. How about you?
See, I am not a horror movie person. I do like reading horror books and comics and things like that. Mm-hmm. I think it is the difference that I can control the pacing when it comes to something like that. So if I want to be like, okay, I'm good, I can just be good. Also, there's not going to be a part where someone screams at me out of nowhere.
It's harder to get a jump scare on you with a page turn.
I'm not a jump scare guy. I don't find jump scares frightening. I find them frustrating and annoying.
Really? Well, I don't think there's too many jump scares in today's episode, and these aren't requests. These are things that we just thought, hey, it's Halloween.
We're celebrating Madeline Pryor's favorite holiday.
Yeah, Madeline Pryor, who's set. I believe the solicit said something about her returning, right? Again.
Oh yeah. Spoilers for, I guess the advertising for a comic.
Yeah.
It's been a week now at this point. Maddie is going to show back up in New Mutants by friend of the show Vita Ayala, and not. Well, no, Rod's been on. Rod can be a friend of the show. Has Rod been on? You interviewed Rod for C2E2.
Yes, we can call him friend of the show. Man,
I feel like if we're going to use the phrase friend of the show, we should probably definitely know that they were a friend of the show. But no, by Vita and Rod, which New Mutants might be my favorite book in the line.
Oh, it's great.
As of right now.
It's so good right now.
So freaking good.
Yeah.
So good. This is also by a friend of the show and someone who's not friend of the show but could be.
Mm-hmm.
The first story we're going to be talking about today is Adam. It's coming to us from Battle World.
Yeah. This is a Secret Wars tie-in where they just decided to throw a bunch of old crossover event titles into a hat and make stories about them. This is one of my favorites, though. This is Inferno.
Yeah, this is Inferno 1 through 5, written by friend of the show Dennis Hopeless Hallam, penciled by potential friend of the show Ayako. And here's the thing about this. Do you like I love the Jonathan Hickman, Assad Ribic Secret Wars.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the tie-ins as a concept? In general, how do you feel about the tie-ins to Secret Wars? What they did with them?
Well, here's the thing. Conceptually, Battle World, I consider to be incredibly stupid. I also think it was brave of the publisher to just sort of shut down what they were doing and do these minis, because it allowed them to do some things that were not happening at the time, right? I mean, if you look at the line of the books going into Secret Wars, not a lot of risks, but there were some risks being taken in some of these Battle World titles, and some of it works, some of it doesn't. But I generally like, especially the X-Men stuff that came out as part of this. I thought it was pretty cool, and this one might have been my favorite.
No, this one's not my favorite. I can tell you that right now, because this one might be my third favorite of the X-Men stuff.
Okay.
If I'm guessing off the top of my head, hold on.
Well, we know X-Men 92 is probably the best, right?
I am.
Or are you going to say Years of Future Past?
Here's my dirty secret. Yeah. I don't like Years of Future Past. I think Years of Future Past makes a bad use of comics as an art form.
Whoa.
And that may just be the fact that I had a lot of people over the years post that one page of Colossus telling his daughter that, hey, being mean to people is bad and causes genocide, which I feel like is a bit of a reductionist take on that, and B, just the worst use of comics I've ever seen.
It is a splash page with a whole lot of word bubbles on it. I still like that mini.
Is it a splash page? Because I feel like it's like...
No, it is. It's a splash page with like a literal full page lecture in word bubbles above it, and it's...
But it's not... It's two figures, though. That's the thing. It's not a splash page. It's two figures in the bottom quarter of the page.
Yeah.
And then it's all white, and then word balloons.
Yeah. It's a single panel. That's a splash page. There's no...
Why
are we talking about Years of Future Past? We're not...
Because I feel like you're stretching the definition of splash page.
It's a full page. That's what a splash page is.
I agree that it's
hand
a full
gestures.
page. I feel like splash page implies a certain amount of gravitas that is not present in that page.
All right, so now I'm thinking Extinction Agenda, which I didn't like very much.
That one was bad.
House of M, which was not very good.
House of M was middling.
What are you thinking as like your like really good one?
E is for Extinction. That one's my favorite.
Yeah, that rocked.
There's also in what I remember being good, but have not read it read it back ever and never intend to read it back. The Red Skull series, that was really a Magneto solo series. I remember that being interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, I don't want to go back and read it. Thinking about it for a hot second, it seems like there may be some elements in that haven't aged well. There was the actual Magneto solo series that was a Last Days tie-in that ruled.
Yeah.
There was Age of Apocalypse, which I liked. Fabian Nicieza. And,
that was kind of cool.
Yeah, who was in that? Is Captain Britain in the Mighty... No, because that was really a Captain America and the Mighty Avengers spin-off that Ewing did.
Old Man Logan.
Giant Size Little Marvel AVX.
That was awesome.
That one's pretty good.
That one's awesome. Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan, pretty good.
Kitty Pryde and Star-Lord, which was not my favorite.
Not my cup of tea, governor.
No.
Siege. And Siege. Which, Siege...
Oh. I don't think
we haven't ranked Siege.
Yeah.
Siege might have the best sequence in all of Secret Wars, bar none.
I wonder if I read that. I don't remember.
There's a part in Siege, because Siege is really the only book that has any direct ties to the main Hickman Secret Wars story.
Yeah.
Siege is about the Wall, and you remember the Wall from Secret Wars. It's Ben Grimm, the Thing.
The Thing. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Like the sun
Thanos,
is the Human Torch.
Yeah. Thanos ends up at the Wall at a certain point, and we get in Secret Wars proper Thanos convincing the Wall to stand up.
Yes.
What we don't get, except for in, I believe, Siege number 3 or 4, I forget, is Thanos... Thanos' full speech to the Wall to get the Wall to stand up.
That's great.
Where Thanos says a bunch of stuff and then he looks down at the Wall and says, "What time is it, Ben Grimm?"
And
then
as
the
if
wall
Thanos
stands
sits
up.
around remembering people's catchphrases. I love it.
Yeah, because it's clobbering time, Adam. That's the time that it is. It is clobbering time.
Well, I think just the gamut of stuff that you just ran through there demonstrates just how weird some of this stuff got.
Actually, most of it's pretty good. Like,
And I agree. I think that, if you look across the line at the time, there was some pretty cool stuff happening. But Inferno, I really enjoy, and it has quite a few of the tropes that Hopeless likes to play with that I was a huge fan of at the time. So the core... and the other thing I want to point out before we start talking about this, because I know we're going on and on without talking about this story...
it's okay. The other two stories we have are very slight.
Is that they don't have to connect to Secret Wars. Like, as long as they make a passing reference to Lord Doom or, I'm the Lord of this...
the Baron. They're the Baron.
The
Doom's
Baron,
the only
thank
Lord.
you. Of this, land or whatever. That's all you need. And you can do whatever the heck you want. So, like, X-Men 92, it was... what's his name? Why can't I think of his name?
Are you talking about Baron Robert Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
Who had a chariot
Robert
of werewolves?
Kelly. Here, the Baron is Cyclops, who is floating around in a Professor X chair after... Well, the premise of this book I also appreciate, because I feel like it really reiterates this idea that Colossus is just this dumb oaf who is willing to do anything for his sister without really comprehending what the consequences of it are.
Colossus is very good, and this is a consistent character trait.
Mm-hmm.
Colossus is very good at doing what he thinks is best with reckless abandon, regardless of what anyone else, including the person he thinks he's helping, tells him.
Yeah. Yeah. Now
that's a good character flaw for a hero.
Oh, it makes for a fantastic story. So the premise here is that at the conclusion of, I guess, the original events of Inferno, sort of, it's not quite the same. Magic, Ileana actually became sort of the Dark Child and rules this limbo area. And annually, Colossus leads a group of X-Men in to try and rescue her, even though she is so far gone. She has no interest in being rescued, and it's an impossible suicide mission. So shades of Generation Next here. You know what I mean?
There are shades of Generation Next here. I had not made that connection, but you are absolutely right.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Now, because this is Dennis... he's bringing in one of my favorite things, which is Colossus and Domino, a happily married couple, which I absolutely adore. The other element of this book, which is a heck of a lot of fun, is that the other antagonists of this book are Maddie with basically her pet Havoc. And later in the book, we get a sort of mad scientist version, almost steampunk version of Mr. Sinister, which is kind of fun too.
What I especially like about the Maddie and Havoc, because as we remember, Havoc in Inferno, how do you put it? He got horny, evil, and slutty. Like...
Yeah, he became a love slave.
Which, whatever. That continues in this, and he's very, very good at his job. But he also has to, alongside Sim and Madeline, help raise Madeline's child, who's Cable?
Baby Cable. I love him so much, and so much that I drew him into Bish and Jubes. I really love this little booger who befriends Domino and helps.
They talk about guns.
Yes.
I guess I was like, oh, Domino and Cable. Oh wait, no, yeah, Domino and Cable. They long-standing friends. Makes sense. They immediately hit it off, even as he's a child.
So, Maddie basically says, hey, I'll help you rescue your sister because I would like to take over, this limbo demon verse. And what nobody is realizing is that Ileana is not just chilling out and doesn't want to do anything. She actually wants to go and take over the rest of the world. Or I guess at least this slice of Battle World. So
yeah, this domain.
Yeah. So what's really cool is that Javier Garron gets to really kind of cut loose, and we get tons of cameos throughout this whole thing, to the point where there are these enormous double-page spreads of fight scenes featuring dozens and dozens of X-Men characters and alternate universe versions of these guys. And like we just talked about Fix in the last episode, you get a nice cameo of Fix.
Is in this one.
Yeah.
That was... There's a lot of interesting, cool stuff in this. The fact that Fix is in it. I was about to ask you what you think the most obscure character reference is that you picked up on, and you're right. It's Fix.
Well, Wiccan is in here.
Wiccan is not obscure.
No, I'm just flipping through and who I see.
Oh, Maggot's there. Cecilia Reyes is there. Penance. Cloak and Dagger are there. WizKid.
Yep.
WizKid, who may at this point have had less appearances than Fix. Like, just in terms of total issues.
Yeah, it's a real fun group of cameos here. Not to mention the fact that Nightcrawler gets transformed into a giant teleporting dragon that Madeline gets to ride around on. So
yeah, immediately Nightcrawler shows up and he gets dragonfied.
Yeah. So, Colossus learns the hard way that Ileana not interested in being rescued. And it finally comes down to, is it Domino that finally takes her out? Or
no, it is Colossus. Domino tests her luck and puts Colossus in a position where he has to choose between saving her and stopping his sister. And he chooses, without question, to cleave his sister in half. I want to be clear, she is an evil demon sorceress who has enslaved and tortured people for years at this point. So this is not our Snowflake. She is too far gone. I understand it. I get it. Here's the problem. And I think this is one thing the book doesn't do a great job reckoning with. Colossus is unequivocally wrong this whole time.
Yes.
And his hubris and his actions do cause literally every other X-Men besides him, Domino, and Boom Boom to get viciously murdered while Madeline Pryor takes over as Baroness of the Domain.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's a Generation Next tragic ending. I mean...
is it? Okay.
It's not as gruesome and or as effective because what you just described is not necessarily super clear.
It's not super clear, but it is clear that those three are good.
Right.
Like,
but who knows what happened to everybody else when demons overran them.
In Generation Next, even though Colossus and Shadowcat were the survivors, and even though they actively made choices to leave their students behind, those were not the simple choices for them. And as a reader, we felt like, oh no, they weren't the protagonists. They were secondary characters in Generation Next.
Right.
So you see them leaving, and it feels like a betrayal, even though they are upset that they had to lose their students, but they are working towards a greater good. Where here, Colossus and Domino and Boom Boom are our protagonists, so they get off scot-free, and all these other people get viciously murdered as demons rule the area. So I feel like it's less effective as a tragedy.
Absolutely. Because you're absolutely right. I mean, Colossus's selfishness is what it makes it more difficult for, I think Dennis would like us to have the happy ending of, Colossus acting on behalf of Domino, but it's difficult because, his actions have been absolutely horrific throughout this. There's this ongoing Cyclops is right joke that goes through this too. And Cyclops is constantly just, and he's 100% correct throughout. He's like, yes, I know I was right. I told you 1,000,000 times to stop doing this. And now look where you got us, and he's right.
No, Cyclops is very right in this one. So I struggle with it. I love Javier Garron's art in this.
It's fantastic.
Gorgeous. If you're thinking Inferno, this is less Mark Silvestri and more John Bogdanov. It's a cartoony approach to it, which for me works a ton. And I really like Garron. I wish his talents were not being used on Jason Aaron's abysmal Avengers book. I would love it if Javier Garron was on a book that I enjoyed reading. But
alas,
dude draws beautiful stuff.
Yeah. And I enjoy this quite a bit. So if for whatever reason you didn't have a chance to check this out and you are a fan of any of the titles that it's, referencing or the characters that it stars, I think you'll really get a kick out of it. It's pretty cool.
I do too. And I think our readers will get a kick out of our big ol' list.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We have 564 stories on our list. With the number 1 story being The House of X and the Powers of 10. The number 100 story being X-Force Assault on Grey Malkin. The 200th story being Bishop. The Bishop miniseries by John Ostrander. 300 on our list is Savage Avengers 1 through 5, The City of Sickles. Number 400 on our list is Uncanny X-Men, The Rise and Fall of the Shi'ar Empire. Number 500 on our list is Wolverine 98 through 100, Furnace of His Mind, Anvil of His Heart. And then the Dracos. Dracos down at the bottom. Here's my question.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I think we can both agree, even if we are known as the Inferno haters, that's what the people call us, Adam, as you know.
I know. Get the hate mail every day.
This is not as good as Inferno.
No.
From X-Men and X Factor. That's at 118 on our list.
Yeah. I feel like we often need to point out that Inferno in the parts that we ranked is actually ranked fairly high on the list. Like, I realize that's lower than. I know there's probably people who would put it top 10.
Here's the thing. We also should point out that we did Inferno for our first Halloween special that may have been 5 years ago at this point.
I still stand by that ranking.
4 years ago at this point.
Yes.
I could stand an Inferno reread just to see how 2021 Zach feels about it. Because 2021 Zach, again, likes different things.
Sure. I was looking lower in the list. Down at 192, we have the introduction of Colossus and Domino, which is Cable and X-Force 1 to 5. And
that's at 192.
Yes. Sorry. And then down at 203, we have Uncanny X-Men 231, the time that Colossus pretended to be a ghost to save Ileana.
Yeah, that one's better. 203 is better.
I think both those are better. Now you have highlighted another story here.
Yeah, because I was just looking for all the mentions of the word Inferno. Number 207 on our list is Power Pack 20. That's the one where Louis Simonson just does Inferno several years before Inferno happens.
Yeah, does it a little bit earlier, which is pretty interesting. I do feel like we are in the right area of the list, though.
We are, because, okay, actually, I think I know how I feel about it.
Okay.
213 on our list is Extraordinary X-Men 13 through 16 Kingdoms Fall, which I think this is better than.
Yep, I agree.
I would struggle to say that this is better than either the Age of Apocalypse miniseries from the 2010s or the first arc of the Road Trip era X-Force.
So yeah, I would put it...
Or World War X, which is right above those.
So yeah, I would put it probably below World War X and above Akira Yoshida's Age of Apocalypse 1.
No, that's not... Hold on. That's not Akira's.
Wait, which one is that?
That's the David Latham.
That's the Uncanny X-Force tie-in.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah... All right, but I would... Okay, now that let me readjust here. Yeah, you just highlighted it. I would slot this in between 211, which is X-Force 71 to 74 Road Trip, and Trial of Jean Grey at 212.
So make this our new 212?
Perfect. I like that. It's a great spot.
I have one of Eminent's sketch covers from Trial of Jean Grey
So
that
cool.
I have to get framed. I'm very it's the good cover. It's the one where Jean is on trial.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get that framed. I'm very excited about that once it gets done, but that's for future me. Good showing, Inferno. And now for something completely different.
Yeah. People might be surprised about this one. What are we ranking next here?
We're going to rank a Jerry Duggan Halloween story.
Yeah.
Which listeners at this time may be expecting something different than what we're doing. And you'd be wrong, because this is a Jerry Duggan Halloween story featuring Nature Girl. And it is Nova 22.
Nova Volume 5, number 22.
Listen, okay. Were you ever like a Nova guy, Adam? I don't know. Like, I could see you like being a guy who was into the New Warriors, was into Nova.
I was never into the New Warriors. Sorry, my apologies to Fabian. And Nova, no. I had to look up, because this is not the Nova from the 90s. This is his son, I believe.
No! You don't know about Sam Alexander.
Okay, I don't know there's like 3 Novas at this point, or more.
Well, no, there was an entire core
there's the
of
core.
Novas.
Was there always a core?
They all died. I don't think always.
That's not how it started, right?
No, but in Annihilation, they all died.
Yes.
So, and they've come back and all died again, I think 3 other times.
Oof.
It happens a
Brutal.
couple times. They're space Green Lanterns. Like, Green Lanterns aren't in space normally, as you know. They're just Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
But no, so there's Nova, Dick Ryder.
Wait, what? I'm sorry, what?
Richard Ryder, Nova from the New Warriors, Dick Ryder.
That's his name. I'm just taking that in.
Do you not know this?
I did not know that. This is the
Adam,
first
you've
time.
got to learn a lot about Dick Ryder.
Okay. So this character, this Nova we're talking about, is the son of another Nova
Yes.
named Sam Alexander. And his name is Jesse.
The Nova's... his dad's name is Jesse.
Oh, dang.
His name is Sam.
Getting it backwards.
This is the Nova if you have read Champions.
Right. That I've read.
This is that Nova.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
And his buddy,
his
buddy, the Watcher,
dad was
died.
Yes, he was friends with the Watcher. His dad, in fact, there's actually, I remember it being a pretty good issue of Original Sin 0 that actually goes into their friendship a lot. But he first appears in, well, actually, this dates him in an incredibly specific way. He first appears as an Infinite Comics character. You remember when Infinite Comics first started?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He was in that, which led into his appearance in Avengers vs. X-Men.
Yep, I remember that.
He crashes through.
Yes.
And that starts his character journey. He gets trained by the Guardians of the Galaxy because he finds a Nova helmet that was actually his dad's, but his dad wasn't a regular Nova. He was a secret Black Ops Nova.
Oh, wow.
This Nova is named Sam, and this is going to explain a lot. You know about Jeff Loeb.
I've heard of him.
Controversial figure in comics.
Yes.
Jeff Loeb's son passed away as a teen or at a certain point, and his name was Sam. So this was partially Jeff Loeb honoring his son and making a character out of him.
I had no idea.
So it's really a story about Sam Alexander trying to find his dad, who has been lost in space. And now he's a superhero trying to be a super Black Ops Nova, which is what the black helmet was supposed to be.
Okay. Now, I feel like I just got a whole history lesson there. Now,
we're doing a lot of talking about things that aren't specifically X-Men, but are very specific to 2010's Marvel Comics in this episode.
Well, but this issue does feature Trick or Treating, and it does feature the Wolverine and the X-Men kids. So Nova...
Specifically, the Wolverine and the X-Men Volume 2
two
kids.
Yes. Yeah, that is a distinction, because when this came
By
out...
that, we mean Nature Girls there.
Yeah, so Nova comes back from the moon, tries to get back into school. His principal is basically the character from Back to the Future, who says, sure, why not? You're going to get expelled anyway, but come to class, which is grossly irresponsible. And
I would like to, in defense of the teacher, there were 21 issues building up to that, where that principal got increasingly frustrated at Nova's shenanigans.
yeah, take some summer school classes. But he goes trick-or-treating with, who is it? Who's here? We got Armor.
We got Armor. We got Kid Omega. We got Nature Girl, Kid Gladiator, Genesis, Brew. No, Brew's just on the cover. He's not actually...
Yeah, he's not in
there.
the book.
What's interesting is the Jean Grey school kids do not know Nova.
No, they didn't invite him. They sent a text to a different... Who did they try to get to trick-or-treat?
Speedball. You know Speedball?
Yeah.
Hold on. Now I am forced to ask. Do you know Speedball?
I know of Speedball, yes. He bounces off things.
But
he's a Spider-Man character. He was also in the New Warriors.
No, he's not. What? I mean, I guess he first appeared in an Amazing Spider-Man annual, but he was immediately spun off into his own thing.
Yeah, he's like, but they tried to make him like, another cool
he was
hip
he was a
teen.
Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
He was 1980s Spider-Man. Because this is X-Men related, you do know about penance, right?
Yeah.
But you know about penance in relation to Speedball?
I don't know. No, I don't. All right, come on. Tell me the story here.
Famously, the New Warriors in the large event Civil War did blow up a town, including a school of children.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Speedball was one of the only survivors of that and felt a lot of guilt about that whole event. So he designed a suit for himself, and I'm going to send you a picture of this. I guess this is when you weren't reading comics at all.
I mean, that covers a lot of time. I want to see.
Yeah,
all right, I got to go back to the chat here.
This is his armor.
Oh no. What is that helmet with spikes on it?
Oh, what you don't see is the spikes that are on the inside.
Oh no. Oh no.
Because he's constantly hurting himself. He has 612 internal spikes that cause him constant pain, symbolic for the 612 deaths he felt responsible for in the Stamford, Connecticut incident.
So wait, he calls himself Penance? Like, I'm thinking of the Penance from Generation X.
And Adam, I don't know how to explain this, but I'm getting there.
Oh, there's a connection.
There ends up being a connection, which is the most buck wild thing. It's also important that of those 612 spikes that he has on the inside of his clothes, guys, look up Penance. But of those 612 spikes, there are 60 spikes that are constantly broken into his skin that are deep enough that they are always impaling him. That's for the 60 children that died.
Oh my god.
Also, we're going to get to Penance, I promise, but we have to go over this. You know about his cat, right?
No. I don't know about any of this.
He's got a cat.
Okay.
He's got a cat.
Great.
He's got a cat named Niles that has the exact same
Please tell me not the
powers
same
as him, where he can bounce around.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought you were going to say the same outfit, and I was going to lose it.
Okay. So this is going to be a hard one to break to you. So go back to the chat. Because Speedball's cat did follow suit and become P-Cat, the penitent puss.
Oh, no. No. Who wrote this?
Okay.
This is making me angry.
Okay, so I want to be clear. It's so important that we make this distinction. While the penance being like broken and like sad all the time and wearing a suit that hurts him was a very serious Paul Jenkins thing. The Peacat and the Penitent Puss, they were aware. They knew what they were doing in that one, because that one involves that one's from Deadpool's Great Lakes Initiative Summer Fun Spectacular.
Oh my god. I mean,
but it's canon.
All right, get to the part where it connects to Monet.
Get to the part where it connects. Okay, so okay, back to X-Men. You know Monet St. Croix?
I do.
You know how Monet St. Croix was two kids in a trench coat when we first met her, and the real Monet was in a suit that we called Penance?
Yes.
And you know how they did a flip-flop at one point, and then Monet got her own body back, and then her twin sisters were two kids in a very sharp trench coat now?
Yep.
You know that eventually, like 17 issues later, they were just freed, and the body that was Penance is just like vibing and hanging out?
Yep.
So the body that was Penance was captured eventually by a mutant growth hormone harvesting drug dealers.
Oh no.
And joined a team called the Loners, written by Akira Yoshida himself, Chester Boris Sobalski.
Okay.
And here's the thing. Speedball's not on that team, but do you know who is?
The cat?
Ricochet. Ricochet, who's just 90s Speedball.
Oh my god. Okay.
From the Slingers? We don't have to explain the Slingers. We're too deep already.
I don't even know where we're at.
Okay, so the Slingers, Adam. You know variant covers, right?
Yes.
Have you ever heard about variant interiors?
No. What the hell are we talking about now?
Okay, now we're talking about Slingers. Do you know the Slingers?
No. What is that?
Do you know Spider-Man's secret? Do you know about Spider-Man's identity crisis?
No.
Spider-Man had an identity crisis at one point in the late 90s when his books were really bad.
Yeah.
Before John Byrne came in and made him worse.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you if you know about Spider-Man Chapter 1. You can Google that yourself.
That I've heard of.
Okay, good. We found common ground. The Slingers were originally Spider-Man's 4 different Spider-Man armors that he wore when he couldn't be Spider-Man, but he still wanted to be a superhero, so he was shifting between 4 different superhero identities.
Okay.
And then some dudes picked him up, and one of them was Ricochet, who has the power to throw discs that bounce everywhere. He's very Speedball-like. Anyway, he was also on the Loners. In that book, their book had variant interiors.
What does that mean? What is a variant
It means
interior?
that like a couple. It means like most of the interiors were the same, but then there were like a couple of pages that were different depending on what cover you bought.
Oh, that's so weird. So you got
Like
a different story?
for each slinger. Yeah, you got like a different bit of story in there. Those are the Slingers, not popular. Fun fact, one of the Slingers, Hornet, got his identity stolen by none other than Cyber.
Okay, I'm still confused. So the Husk of Penance, not to be confused with Husk, is on this team with somebody who's kind of like Speedball, but how does she connect to Speedball?
I forgot that it was Ricochet and not Speedball when I started.
Are you serious? We went down that hole?
Yeah. We were too deep. At a certain point, we were too deep, and I did. People know on this show that once I get into bits, I can't pull out.
Oh my god. What just happened? Okay, so
Nova 22 by Jerry Duggan with art by Federico Santagalli and John Timms.
So the basic premise here is that the X-Men kids team up reluctantly, I guess, with Nova. Actually, they don't really care. They're like, come on, hang out. They form a group called the Halloweeners because there is apparently some older boys that are stealing the kids' candy.
This is a Bob's Burgers plot. I want to be very clear. They're doing a Bob's Burgers in this.
Yeah.
But Nature Girl's there.
Yeah.
She doesn't talk in this.
So they are dressed up as different characters. Nova is dressed as a ghost, like basically has a sheet over him. And they scare the kids and they return the candy. and everybody's having a good time, and having a nice, friendly. It's nice.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Nova needed a friend.
It's
he
fine.
got friends. I
It's fine.
don't. I think this is a bad comic, but I don't think it's going to do well on our list, just given that it's it's kind of slight.
It's incredibly. It's a comic that instead of talking about, we talked about dumb Marvel fun facts.
Well, we chose it mainly on the cover.
I love how my brain. Oh yeah, I mean the cover's the cover for this episode. There's a reason we chose it.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Not as good as 301 Savage Avengers by Jerry Duggan.
No.
Not as good as 400 What If Legion Killed Magneto.
No, it is not. Working my way down. I don't think this is as good as Wildcats X-Men at 453.
Okay, it's better than Life Signs from Phalanx Covenant. A book that book's actively bad. Like I dislike that book.
Where is that? That's
at 500.
Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna go that low. I don't think this is as bad. It's not. You just highlighted Knights of Terra. I don't think it's that bad.
It's better than Apocalypse versus Dracula at 466.
Yep. I think we're in the right area here. I like Generation Generation 13, not the Art Adams one.
The one by Salvador Larroca.
Yep, I like that
not
one
Art
better.
Adams. I agree with you. I think this is probably better than Wolverine Reign of Terra at 460.
Yeah, probably.
You're gonna,
but it's not as good as Wolverine Volume 2, Issue 102, which is at 459.
Perfect. The weird ones.
Yes.
Yeah, with Elektra.
Yeah.
And no nose.
Yep.
This is 460. It's the Halloween issue.
All right. So we went on.
You ever wonder why people listen to us, Adam? You ever just curious about that?
All the time. All right. The last thing we're going to cover is an actual X-Men comic.
An actual X-Men comic set at actual Halloween.
Yes. And featuring one of my favorite artists. This is a Chris
Nightmare.
Bachalo joint here.
It is. This is Generation X-22, written by Scott Lobdell and Michael Wright. Chris Bachalo on those pencils. Inkers, so important with Chris. It's Alvey and Scott Hanna.
Yeah.
And we got Steve Bucalero on those colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it looks like Paige and Banshee have taken Artie and Leech, as well as Franklin, the recently orphaned Franklin, out for some...
Thanks to Onslaught.
Yeah.
Y'all know about Onslaught.
Yeah. Out for some trick-or-treating. And there's a parade going on, and back...
Oh, because it's... You know where they're at, right?
Oh, are they at the parade? Oh, wait.
They're in Rutland, baby!
Is it really? I missed that.
Yeah! It's Rutland, Vermont.
That's great. We haven't talked about that in a while.
Yeah, it's the superhero parade.
Last mentioned in our Beast episode.
Yeah, it's a fun. Listen, I know that well, no, wait. They're just in Massachusetts. Yeah, Vermont's not a bad drive. Does it make sense to not just go to the local Halloween trick-or-treating? Fine. Yeah, I get it. But it's Rutland, babe. Oh, I know exactly why. Because I can get this. Because Rutland is the superhero Halloween festival.
Right.
Like, that's what they do. They dress up as superheroes. And Artie and Leech look like weird little kids.
Yes, Paige is very concerned about this.
Yeah, Artie and Leech look weird. So, no. Okay, actually, Sean Cassidy, good guy.
Yeah. So, back at the ranch, we've got
Can we stay at Rutland for 1 second?
Oh yeah, sure.
Because I want to focus there because this is really split into two stories for the most part.
That is true.
There's a little vignette with the rest of the team, which is fun and beautifully drawn. Chris, great work. But the B story with them going trick or treating, a lot of it is Husk talking to Banshee about Siren, about his daughter, because Husk is a family girl, and she knows enough to know that Banshee and Siren were not together while she was being raised. And I think there's a lot of good emotional, like there's that good Scott Lobdell teen drama, but applied to a dad. And the problem is, I love sad dad stories.
It is done very well. And that is contrasted by, like you said, there is a short vignette with the Gen X kids, dressing up in costumes and scaring away some punks who wanted to TP the mansion. And then
very beautifully done. The best. Listen, if we're only going to get 2 pages of the Gen X kids acting like trash teens, I am all for the 2 pages being like that, because it's good.
Yeah, but then the majority of the issue is Emma Frost versus Nightmare.
And it's... So, we were talking about this off air. But the best thing you can do with weird Doctor Strange villains like Nightmare is just draw the heck out of them.
Yeah,
and that's what happens here.
Yeah, I'm very fond of the Sam Keith portrayal of this character. There's been, I think Kevin Nolan does a pretty good one, and
I think Javier Pina did an incredible job. Like
X-Men 4.
You have to in X-Men 4. You have to bat second after Pepe Larraz on X-Men, and you know what? I'm not going to say he's as good as Larraz, but he held his own. He did real well.
Did a great job. And
like that's
easy.
That's the kind of stuff that gets you like a good fill-in and good attention to be like, okay, we need to bump you up to something like to really let you stretch.
So Nightmare has some weird like reason for being there, saying that like he can't get back to his nightmare realm or somebody's trying to take it over. I don't really follow all that, but Emma Frost is having none of it. It just puts Nightmare in his place consistently, and it's terrific.
Emma Frost is very much like literally like just undressing and getting ready for bed. She is dealing with Nightmare doing weird creepy stuff and showing her visions that would upset Emma. Visions of her school getting taken over, which is, he's doing very heavy foreshadowing of, hey, Generation X 25 is going to be some heavy stuff.
Yep. Yeah, he's
and it's going to be rough for you, Emma. It's weird how people ascribe all of the current characterization of Emma to what Grant Morrison did, and they did a great job with Emma. And I know that they did not read Generation X. I know it, but Scott Lobdell was already doing that with Emma Frost back, 7 years before Morrison was. And that's something I think a lot of people don't understand or recognize.
Yeah.
Because this isn't collected in the ways that New X-Men is.
No, and I was actually surprised it's been a while since I glanced at it, but Marvel Unlimited does not have a complete Gen X run, which I was very surprised to see, because this is an absolutely gorgeous issue. Not only does Chris draw the hell out of Nightmare, there's these weird cameos that turn out to be masks of like Omega Red and some other things through a witch. But he's also doing that same thing he did with Gen X 5, where there's weird border stuff happening. Like in that one, you had little gnomes that were walking around. And in here you get these. He actually, the day that we're recording this, he just posted an image of Venom riding on top of like an SUV Jeep kind of thing. And it was very reminiscent of the old Rat Fink punk posters. And the characters that are bubbling around the corners here look very similar to that too. They're all sort of like little gremlins that are attacking each other, and so there's a story going on there, and it all just makes for this outstanding visual presentation of this story. It's a shame that more people can't see this.
It's such an incredibly good job that they're doing. It's so frustrating. Like, heck, can you get the Milligan Bachelor Shade the Changing Man stuff
online?
Because I know for a bit it wasn't collected.
I believe it is.
Yeah, it is collected now.
Yeah, and that's interesting because you can kind of see how Chris's style evolves. By the time you get to the end of that run, you can really see how he got to like where he is at Generation X1. So
yeah, because he's
cool evolution.
He's still a very traditional. Oh shoot, I bet this is on that DC app. I should read all of that again.
You could.
That Here's the thing. I know it's spooky times. I think I'm going to become a Swamp Thing guy. I've been thinking about it for a while. I do think I'm going to like Swamp Thing.
Well,
I know people are going to be yelling at me like, you're a dude. Of course you're going to like Swamp Thing. I do think I'm going to like Swamp Thing, though.
I wouldn't doubt it for a second. But this is still 2 issues before Man-Thing gets involved in this story. So, little breather before then. But this is a great
You're talking
standalone.
about the Daydreamers?
What's that? Yeah, Daydreamers.
You're talking about the Daydreamers.
Yeah. So I think this is a fantastic standalone issue. I enjoyed it quite a bit. What do you say we rank it and put it on our giant old list here?
Let's rank it. Y'all, I tell ya, track down the first, 25 issues of Generation X. They are rock solid.
Yeah. Even if Chris isn't drawing all of them, it's pretty dang good.
Even if Scott Lobdell's a crappy dude, that book's good.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so Generation X. At 135, we have Generation X 18 through 19 for the sake of the children, which is, I have to confirm there's this one. No, this is the one where they go to Toad's estate. Yes. It's technically an Onslaught tie-in, but it has nothing to do with Onslaught. That rules. I think this is better than that.
I do too. So we know we're going to be in the top 135 here. I do think we're probably along the same lines as at 119, X Factor 27 Gifts, which is a Christmas issue.
X Factor 27 is a very... Here's my problem, Adam.
Yeah.
I like Christmas more than Halloween.
Okay.
That's where I'm stuck on, because I think that the art... I think the stories are the same, more or less. Oh, shoot. No, the art... Oh, 27 does have that Walt Simonson art, doesn't it?
It does. But I also, as I go up the list, I don't think I could put this above Inferno or Ladies' Night at 114.
Here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I would put it between Gifts at 119 and above All New X-Men 137, which is that Mike Del Mundo beautiful issue with Jean and Emma.
Oh, that's actually a good comparison of a one-shot. So this is going to be our new 120.
This will be our new 120, Generation X Volume 22.
Nice.
Halloween one.
Good showing.
What a weird episode of this podcast.
This is what happens when we choose our own stuff at a whim. You know what I mean?
I love it. Listen, I love our great supporters on patreon.com/comicsxf.
Yes.
I love the stories that they suggest. More than that, I love taking an idea and just doing the dumbest thing with it. And it does not always work. In fact, I think it works less than it should. But I have fun with it, and I have fun talking with you.
Thanks.
And if any of our readers want to get in and suggest some stories for us, they can go over to that aforementioned Patreon. It's also in the episode notes. Go click on that bad boy. Reach deep down into your hearts and your pocketbooks and toss a couple of coins into our coffers. It helps keep Comics XF going. There's a lot of great stuff on that website. As we're recording this, we've just done a lot of really cool interviews.
Oh, yeah. Really good stuff.
I mentioned the Al Ewing one last week, and that one's great. Also in that time, Steve Fox did a really fun interview. Cy Spurrier did a really fun interview with our sister podcast, WMQ&A.
Walter.
We also had Walter Mosley, acclaimed novelist. Bill Clinton's favorite writer.
He's doing the thing.
So, yeah. And that's not a euphemism. He's writing a book called The Thing with Tom Riley, who listeners of our podcast may know from the Marvel's Spotlight X-Men issue that he did with friend of the show, Jay Edited.
Yes. Very exciting.
So, go check that one out. We also had the entire creative team of the Image hit series Die do a big old retrospective. That's Kieran Gillen. That's Stephanie Hans. We've got some good stuff. I've got interviews that I have to transcribe still that I'm excited about. I don't know if it'll be up yet, but keep an eye out for an interview that I've did with friends of the show, Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler, about their book Undone by Blood or The Other Side of Eden. Man, I'm really happy with the stuff that's going on the site. Happy that we have such cool podcasts like Bat Chat. Like, hey, if you like this podcast, but you like Batman, you should go check that one out.
Yeah.
That's great. We got Chris's on Infinite Earths as well. We got a whole good roster here in the Comics XF family. And your support goes towards that, goes towards the writers, goes towards the editors, goes towards everyone who keeps this site moving. Because I'm going to tell you what, there's not a lot of money in niche comic book journalism and criticism. But we try and spread that out to our friends and neighbors.
That's right.
People who do the work.
Yeah.
Adam, what do you got going on?
You guys can always follow me on Twitter at Arthur Stacy. And next week we have a guest. Do we want to announce that? Or is that going to be a surprise?
Yeah, we want to announce that. Hollywood superstar Jordan Bloom is going to be on the
Yes.
going to be on the thing. Not for an interview or anything. We just want to talk to our friend Jordan about some X-Men comics.
He's
so
a
we're gonna do
huge
that.
X-Men fan, so excited to have him on.
Yeah, y'all did watch Marvel's Hulu's MODOK, right?
So good.
I'm sorry, Hulu's Marvel's MODOK. Hulu's Marvel's mental organism designed only for killing, featuring Patton Oswalt.
An actual show that was on the air and was very good.
It was very good. My wife, I'm not sure it was a show for wives, and that's very reductive.
Come on.
It wasn't a show for my wife. I've talked to other people whose wives were also not interested in it. I was very interested in the show about MODOK. Mr. Sinister's in it at one point, folks. It rules. I have nothing else here. So we're going to do that. Anything else we have to say, Adam? This episode's gone wild.
No, happy Halloween, and
oh yeah, that's the theme of this one. It's Halloween. We gave up the ghost real quick on this bit.
pun intended.
Until next week, folks, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!